How we doing today? Put the back camera on. I know that back camera looks way better. But we're gonna be switching it over a few times because I wrote down some stuff in my notepad today. Hey, write in the chat, write in the comments if you have any problem hearing me, because it's a little breezy out and there's some people driving right now. I feel like I have to talk louder for you guys to hear me, so that's what's going on today. It's been rainy all day, and I'm just now catching a break. Yeah, I took the dog out earlier today, and it right back to raining. It started raining on us again. So I'm back in the house for a few hours, and it looks like I might catch a break for an hour or two. It might be a little bit of rain, but not the thunderstorm. So we're on our way to the park right now. And the route that I took, I can't really get off the main road to get there, so I apologize for that. Before we begin, who's all in the chat, man? Say what's up. How we doing today? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Only a minute and a half in, so we're gonna wait just a couple more minutes before we start storytelling. I jotted down some notes on my notepad, so I might be switching back and forth just to take a look at it, but it's not really anything I need notes for. There's just a couple details I want to make sure I get in there today in this story. But yeah, story time today. We might not necessarily, I'm still debating on whether I want to turn this channel into a straight prison channel, but for right now, that's what's going on. It's working, and it's bringing in people. We're getting subscribers. I think my last video, we got 8 subscribers off of that one alone, so I appreciate you guys. I'm very thankful. You have no idea, and this is something that I really want to do, you know? I like being out here. I like talking to you guys, and I want to keep it going. And once I graduate this class and get back to working full time, and I'm going to be investing so much money into this channel. You know, I want to get a van. I want to drive around the country with you guys. I want you guys to see me riding e-bikes and going fast, and I'll take you all around the state, man. I got a lot planned. I got to do these classes for a few more months, man, but story time. We got people joining, so let's begin. First off, how's everybody doing today? I'm glad you guys are tapping in. Today's story, we're talking about my experience with prison gangs. And it wasn't anything pretty at all. I did the majority of my time at a work camp called Union Work Camp. And so gangs are a little bit different in the work camp because there's not a lot of people. There's a lot of people, like there's 1,300, 1,500 inmates, but it's not like 3, 4, 6,000 people like a typical prison. So as the saying goes, inmates run the prison. It's absolutely true. But when it comes to a work camp, it's a little bit different because of 2 reasons. Reason number 1, a lot of people just want to go home. They want to get the work release. These are not guys doing life sentences. I've only seen a few people. There was one guy doing a life bid, and somehow he got in the work camp. Somehow. He was in there for a murder charge, which is not really something you're going to see at a work camp. But somehow he got in the work camp, and he just stayed in the building. He did not go outside. He worked like around the compound, weed eating inside the fence. He did maintenance inside the fence. He worked in the chow hall. I've never seen nothing like that. I seen a guy who was there in the beginning, and he's going to be one of the main characters in our story today. His name is Dave, and he was doing a 25-year bid. He's born and raised exactly where I'm at right now, Port Richey, Florida, and that's how me and Dave got close. He was born here in Newport Richey, Florida, and his parents own like houses and stuff in the same exact area that we're at. And so Dave's family also owned a place called Pasco censored word, cat dolls. I don't want to say the word and get in trouble, even though it's the name of an establishment. It's a very vulgar and word, and it starts with the letter P. It's a 5-letter word. Pasco blank cat dolls. And may not have the word dolls in it. It's an adult store. It's a store with adult toys and adult videos. Something that I'm highly against and we will not be talking about on this channel ever. And so it's raining again. How you guys doing? What's up, Angel? So the way that these prison gangs work, we had, in the beginning, it was the GDs, Gangster Disciples, and it was the Bloods. There were people that claimed other gangs, but these were the bigger gangs in the work camp that I was at, and they were the shot callers. What's up? What's up, Menti Rozo? What's up, Alexia? How you guys doing? No, we're not talking about that anniversary. How y'all doing today? So, like I said, it is raining out. GDs and Bloods ran the compound. Those were the two big gangs. And they ended up getting into some beef over me, which we'll talk about here later on in the story. Let's work up to it. I want to start off by saying I don't promote gang violence, and I never joined a gang. I was never in the gang. I didn't want to be in the gang, and I turned the gang down respectfully, and I did it in a very respectful way. We'll get to it. So it all started off nice and easy. I just came out the box. I got caught with a cell phone. I was using a buddy's cell phone, and I got caught with it. I fell asleep with it. They woke me up. It was under my pillow. And I just did 60 days in the box. They upped my custody level. I was medium for a little bit. I was working inside grounds. They dropped me back down in a couple weeks. I'm back out the gate. Minimum custody. Boom. They put me on an outside work squad. What we did in this outside work squad, specifically mine, it went by numbers. There were different groups. You had the house maintenance guys, who we carpooled with and was also in our dorm. And then you had us guys who was weed eating all around the prison and mowing and stuff. We hit the zero-turn mowers all around the camp, all around the main camp too. We also did the main unit at UCI, one of the most dangerous camps in the state of Florida. It's like number 4. And there was a camp called New River. They just shut down, so we also worked out there and took care of their yard. And it all started out like that. It was me. I got real tight with Dave quick. We was talking one day, figured out we were both in the same area. I didn't know anything yet. I'm green. I'm so green at this time. And I didn't know nothing about Dave and what Dave had going on. Dave, see what worked for Dave, Dave wasn't in a gang. But Dave was real tight with the officers, and he was also paying a specific officer like $300 a week. His name was Officer Bowman, a little bit older than me. And so the reason why he did this was because Dave would get a bunch of cigarettes. He got the 305 cigars. They're like not even $20 a carton. They're like $15 a carton at the time. And his wife would drop off like 5 or 6 cartons every single week, every other week. And Dave was a huge smoker. Smoked a whole Cadillac to the face. He didn't even roll them up unless he was in a dorm and he didn't really have none. But Dave was paying the officer about $300 a week. His girlfriend was. They were just sending money, Cash App, boom. His wife would drop the stuff off. Dave and Officer Bowman and our other buddy, Click, he was also in my dorm. They just went and picked up the stuff, and Officer Bowman kept all the cigarettes in the shed. Now, whether you're in prison or not, you already know cigarettes is the biggest currency to anything in prison. Cigarettes are your main currency. It ain't soups. People are going to turn you down for soup sometimes. Cigarettes is always currency. At the work camp, they're a little bit cheaper. On a weekday, they're about $3 to $4. On a weekend, they're about $6 to $8, especially on a Sunday. And if it's low, a cigarette's $10 to $12 on a Sunday. Because ain't nothing coming in on a weekend. Everybody's got off. So, that being said, everyone that kept coming into the work squad, they all claimed GD. And Wolf was pretty much the one that started it off by the time I was in there. There was a GD. His name was Trouble. He had like triangles tattooed on his face, bunch of tattoos face down and head to toe. And he ended up going home. It was, you had Wolf, and Wolf had demon horns tattooed on his head. And he like claimed, I forgot the rank, but he claimed that he was the biggest rank. How you guys doing? What's up, Adrian? Muska, Rusev, if I say that right. How y'all doing today? But Wolf claimed that he was like the shot caller, the big guy, you know what I mean? So no one really questioned him, bro. He had like demon horns tattooed on his face, teardrops all down his face, bunch of face tattoos tatted down. It's like his third or fourth bid. And that's just how it went. And it was real crazy because all these people kept coming in the dorm and they're all claiming GD. And I'm already cool with Wolf. Like, I'm cool with Wolf before everyone started like scattering around him all the time. So we're already like working out together. We're on the squad together. So we got real tight, you know? But it just got crazy. It started getting real crazy. So I'll tell you guys this part of the story first. The GDs and the Zoes, because the Zoes started climbing up too. You know, that's how a gang can start taking over a prison. More people just keep coming in and they start claiming this gang. So the GDs and the Zoes started kind of going at it. You know, Wolf, you know, figuring out, you know, seeing that his gang is like climbing and climbing and climbing in the camp because there's just more people keep coming in and claiming it. And they're all just like cool with how everything's going down. And more people keep going on our work squad and they're claiming it too. And they all got the tattoos. They all got the crowns or the 6-point star, whatever, you know. So it's like, pretty much if you got the tattoo, you're official at that place, you know. Which I know is different than a real camp. And so GDs are rising. Zoes want in on the drop. It was this one guy. He was kind of short, but he was like, you know, obviously super in shape. And bunch of face tattoos, tatted down. And he was like leading the Zoes at the time. And he like approached Wolf one day. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there for the conversation, but they were trying to like pay their way in. And Wolf, you know, doing like a good 10, 12 piece. You know, he's trying to eat however he can. He's not getting no money on the books, man. People in the gang are looking out, but he's like surviving the only way he can, you know. And there ain't much opportunity at this work camp unless you're just a real hustler. And so you know you got to get in the cigarette game, right? So that's just what he's doing, and he's trying to get in on this other thing. So they call it MOP. And it's like, if you watch these prison videos, especially in Florida, you're going to hear about Molly. You're going to hear about the MOP. And that's what this particular Zoe was trying to bring in. Dave wasn't having it. Now, Dave, I remember in the beginning saying, you know, he's never tried doing this before. He only got the cigarettes dropped. So, you know, he didn't know. He didn't have like a guaranteed answer, but he talked it out with the officer. And the officer just wasn't cool with that. The officer was cool with the cigarettes and stuff and getting food and like toothpaste and clothes and whatever dropped off, you know, but to bring in like DOPE, he was not cool with that. So it started up some problems because Wolf, if I got the story correct, Wolf told the Zoe we could do the drop. The Zoe's already set it up, and he has his people dropping off all the stuff in the woods. So we did a lot of mowing and weed eating. We did it all around the work camp. We did it all around the main camp, and then we went to New River, and then everything in between. And we also did some maintenance around, because the officers get a free trailer, so we're like hitting all different houses and stuff too, just mowing and weed eating. So we pretty much had a feel after doing it for some time, knowing where we're gonna be and when we're gonna be. Now the officer would try to switch it up for obvious reasons, so we don't plan out anything, but you know, we pretty much knew where we were gonna be that day, you know. We've been doing it for some time now. We know how the system goes. You know, everything has to get mowed at least once every other week. So we got this pretty much down to the T. It's not hard to have a drop done, you know, and the only place that's really watched like that is the Pride Enterprise area. And Pride is the sawmill. And the only way to get stuff in at the sawmill is literally throwing it over a fence. And there was an officer, and her job literally was to watch people trying to bring drops in. And so she just did all that at Pride. We only ran into her 2 times in a year in our area, in our district, where we're working at. There ain't nobody watching us, so we had it real sweet. Wolf tells us, though, to do the drop. Wolf tells us, though, go for the drop. We also hit the woods, and the officers really aren't trying to go in the woods like that. So, like, obviously you could tell where we go. And they planned it out real well, because Wolf got the drop. And I'm telling you, it was a lot. It was a lot. You know, there's stuff in bomb. It's all bagged up. Bunch of bombs all in a bag. You could see the lump in his pants, like in his leg. You could see the lump that he had. It was everything. Man, they got me involved in it. I don't even want to talk about that. I don't want to put myself out there. I don't want no trouble with nothing. But they got me involved in it. They got everybody involved in it. Wolf's got everybody involved in it. Now, we all ate great. We all ate great, I'm telling you. And I'm not bringing nothing in. Let me tell y'all something. I never brought nothing into a prison. I never brought no contraband into a prison. You know, they'll tell you one thing, the officers will tell you one thing, but there's nothing on this video that, you know, clarifies that I had anything to do with it. I might have just said something a minute ago, but I'm telling y'all right now, you ain't getting me for nothing. But yeah, man, and it was sweet. Everything was already bombed up. Everything was wrapped super small and tight, and everyone was good to go. Now, that's one thing I wouldn't do, honest to God. I wasn't like bringing stuff in like that. I'm too scared. I ain't even gonna lie to you, because I don't even know how that all works. But, you know, the guys are in the bathroom, man. That's all I'm saying. The guys are in the bathroom. Officer Bowman was real cool, man. Officer Bowman was real cool. He'd take you to one of the houses that you're working on so you could go hide off in a bathroom, go handle business. He just didn't want to talk about it. You know, if you got to go wrap this up, wrap that up, because like when Dave had stuff dropped off, none of it was already wrapped. Nothing was wrapped. They were just cartons of cigarettes, still in the cellophane, still in the plastic wrap. So I was always getting paid to wrap up stuff, you know what I mean? All the time. Dave always looked out for me. What do you want to eat? What do you want? You want some tunas? You want some protein? You know, we just got protein shakes at the time. You want some protein shakes? Boom. Yes, sir, and I appreciate you guys for staying in. But, and Dave always gave me cigarettes, man. Now, I wouldn't bring them in. But Dave always gave me cigarettes every morning. He gave me a cigarette. He gave me a cigarette before we went in. The officers let us smoke the cigarettes. Yeah. And whether they were rolled up, whether there was a whole Cadillac, as long as it's outside, and as long as LT wasn't there, and LT never really came in and checked in on us. He didn't care. He just didn't want to see us bombing cigarettes up and wrapping them up. He didn't want to see no tape. He didn't want to see no lotion. He didn't want to see no lube. He didn't want to see none of that. You know what I mean? The black tape. He didn't want to see sandwich wrappers, because they usually use the sandwich wrap. You know, they take the saran wrap your sandwiches in, your bologna and your peanut butter. They put that around the cigarettes and then tape that up. He didn't want to see none of that. But man, this is where it got crazy. This is what started all the beef. We're already 20 minutes in, so let me speed up the story. We had a guy come in. They called him Country. And Country put, like, each bomb was 28 grams. Each bomb was an ounce of stuff. They called it mop. Country had 5 bombs inside of him. That's over a quarter pound. That's a quarter pound and an ounce. And so, Country had 5 ounces, because like I said, they just called the drop anyways. They called the drop anyways behind Dave's back. Dave was so mad, he stopped having cigarettes come in for a little bit until he needed some. You know, Dave called off everything. And so, Wolf got the drop, did all that, grabbed it, picked it up. Obviously, you can't hide from us, so Dave knew what they were doing. That's why he got mad. And Officer Bowman was threatening to stop letting Dave keep his cigarettes in the shed because, you know, of all the substances. And so we have to hit a scanner before we go into the compound. You know, you get strip searched, but you had to hit a scan too. Now, they say that the scan didn't work. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't bring stuff into the prison. But obviously something had to work, because Country was like, I don't know. He was just acting funny. They pulled him to the side and they hit him with the scan gun. And like the text, I don't know. I think that's a metal detector, but they got him. They made him sit in a cage for like a day, and they wanted him to poop in a bucket. This Country, I remember the next day, Country's still in the single cell because he's not pooping in that bucket. How you doing? Telling stories. And Country's in the cell. He's not pooping in this bucket, bro. He's not pooping in this bucket. And it just wasn't gonna happen. Eventually, you know, they like the officer told him, like, you're not getting out of this cage till you use the bathroom. He has to poop at some point. You know what happened. Everything came out. Never seen him ever again. The problem was, Wolf said, I got you. We're gonna make it happen. We can make this happen. And since one of Wolf's guys got popped, it made Wolf look bad, because he said it was gonna, you know, prison has its own thing, you know. And imagine you're this dealer, right? Imagine you're this guy, and you just lost, you know, the guy you're doing business with tells you he's got you, and what's up, Ishmael? And he tells you he's got you, and then he doesn't got you. You just lost 5 ounces. You know, you're gonna be mad, bro. That's like probably in the street, it's probably only like $600, but in prison, that's like $6,000, $5,000. You know what I mean? And I remember looking at text messages on that phone I used to use, because the guy that had the cell phone used to get in the game, and he had messages. I remember reading them, and an ounce was going for $5.50 at the time. So. And then you break it all down, $100 a cap, that's like 15 grand. So yeah, this Zoe was mad, bro. It started a lot of bad beef. You know, there was almost a fight. If I remember correctly, they didn't fight. But, you know, it just starts a lot of problems. Gangs want to make money. Gangs want to make money. And, you know, just some things happen. And it messes things up. And greed gets in the way. And then you got people in your gang that are doing the supply. And so they're risking it all because they're trying to have a good time that night, you know? And it was all smoking sticks, man, with that stuff sprinkled all over the tobacco. I'm telling you right now, it was all smoking it. Maybe not the Zoes, but the GEDs were. And, you know, you can't think with a mind that's under the influence. It just doesn't work like that. So if you're doing the supply, you know, more than less, you're going to start moving, you know, a little recklessly. And that's what happened. They got caught up. Started a lot of bad beef. Dave stopped bringing in the cigarettes. So this is where I said we were going to get to the beef now. Dave was pretty much the only one doing the cigarettes. Officer Jean, whatever her name was, the dyke that, you know, caught all the drops in Pride, she's been catching drops. So Dave's the only one bringing in the cigarettes. Dave's mad because Wolf and all them were acting behind his back when he said don't bring the stuff in. And they still did anyways. So Dave, being the shot caller he is like, well, nobody's getting cigarettes now, you know? So no cigarettes are coming in. Dave has cigarettes, but he's just not giving them to nobody to bring in. He's keeping them all in the shed, and he's only grabbing personal amounts. And he'll just take back whatever he needs for himself. Let me tell you, man. Let me tell you right now, if you're at a camp doing time and there ain't no supply, people are gonna lose their mind. They're mad, they're angry. There was people marching around the dorm, all, you know, killing the energy, because they were fiending to smoke. These people were fiending to smoke, and in particular, these couple Bloods, and the Bloods knew that I was Dave's guy, you know, because like what else I did in the dorm is I may have not brought in cigarettes, but I would hold cigarettes for Dave because I could just grab what. Dave was so cool with me, man. He would just let me, yo, you want a cigarette? Just grab one, dude. Dave, I could hold a pack of cigarettes for Dave, and I'm telling you, I could smoke like 8 of them, or trade some, or whatever, you know? And that's what I would do a lot to eat. I would trade a cigarette for like $3 or $4 of food. Dave wouldn't care. Now, I wouldn't abuse that. I'd only get like 4 or 5 cigarettes out of it, but I'm eating every single night, and I only got caught one time. And that was 1.5 years. I pretty much was in that dorm. And so, you know, but Dave did that for me because he knew he could trust me. We were close, we were tight, and Dave didn't want to go down getting caught with cigarettes. So, you know, the guys in the dorm knew what was going on. Well, these 2 guys, the Bloods in particular, they knew that I was what I did. I held Dave's cigarettes. So they just kept approaching me. And like I'm telling them, I got slick in the mouth and I said, even if I had a cigarette, I'm not giving you nothing. Because they tried to press down on me. Acting, because they was coming at me cool at first trying to buy a cigarette. I didn't have no cigarette. And then they tried to buy a cigarette again. I had 3 cigarettes. They were for Dave's. Dave did not want to sell these cigarettes. They were not mine, they were Dave's. And Dave was not trying to sell them. He'll smoke one with me. You know, we'll break a piece off, roll it up later on and smoke it together. But Dave was not trying to sell these cigarettes, bro. Guys, like, I know you got cigarettes because I'm on the toilet, rolling up a cigarette for Dave. And I also rolled up cigarettes for Dave. Dave knew how to roll up, but just out of convenience, because I'm holding them, Dave would be like, hey, get you and me a cigarette ready. That was his famous thing he'd always say, get you and me a cigarette ready. He wants me to roll him up a cigarette so we don't got to keep exchanging. But since I'm doing it, he's letting me roll up a cigarette too. Dave was real cool, man. And like I said, this went on for 1.5 years. So Dave spent some money on me in prison terms, you know. And so I'm going to the stall. I'm rolling up a cigarette for me and Dave. Like, I'm rolling up 2 cigarettes. And the 2 Bloods came in, and they just was not having that. Like, he was pressed because he's like, you told me you didn't have no cigarettes. I said, these ain't mine to sell. And he's like, you still lied to me. I said, no, I didn't, because these aren't mine to sell. And boom, just sucker punches me right in the face. Both of the Bloods jump me right on the toilet. Eyes swollen shut, welts all over my face. I mean, I fought back. I did what I could, but it's 2-on-1, and one of the other guys was way bigger than me. One of the guys was probably an inch or 2 shorter than me, stockier than me, and then the other guy was just big and built. And, I'm already on the ground. I tripped, because in the bathroom it's wet. Everyone's taking showers. Your boots have horrible tread. I already done slipped, on the water. And, they're just pounding me on the ground and everything. And so Wolf didn't like that. And this is where it gets interesting. Wolf didn't like that, because me and Wolf were real tight. And, he's like, WTF, Dave already, Dave had powers, so he's already came up to my bunk and he's like, those guys are going to be out of here in a week. Wolf wasn't having none of that because the Bloods really weren't that big at the time. It was the G's and the GDs, my bad. The Zoes were getting bigger, but the Bloods done already had their reign. There was less and less and less Bloods at that time at the camp, especially in that dorm, and more specifically in that dorm. And so, and the Bloods that were there really weren't trying to, like, you know what I mean? They really weren't like that. They were just kind of trying to do their time, and they were just trying to go home, And so, these guys were gone, Like, Wolf done had people coming in other dorms. He done, like, made them go to the glass and say they were in fear of their life. They done got out of there. I never seen them guys again, like, that same day. I'm sure the officers already had an idea that there was things going on, and they seen my face, you know what I mean? I didn't go to chow for 2 days, and they had to tell the officer on the work squad that I was too sick to get out of my bed, but, everyone done heard what happened. They know I'm not going out like that. No one pressed me to say anything. And one of the LTs pulled me to the side, and he's like, take off your sunglasses, and I'm in line for chow. And this is like in front of everyone. I take off my sunglasses. I got my eyes still not really able to open. I got these welts. You can still see a welt like right here. And he's like, you're smart. I appreciate you for wearing the sunglasses. Go get your food. And I'm not gonna fold like that. But I gotta eat regardless, bro. I didn't go to chow for 2 days. And everyone's feeding me, by the way. Everyone's bringing food to my bunk. They're bringing me food from chow. They're giving me food out their lockers. They're putting me in when they cook at night. But like this kind of died down after 2 days. I'm starting to get hungry now, so I had to go to chow. I still ain't seen these guys ever again. The G's came up to me the night that this happened, and it was Wolf, and it was 12 other guys. I counted them all, and I counted them all when they left my bunk. And there was people from another dorm too, like people we didn't even really like talk to like that. Like we talked and we, whatever, but we really didn't like talk like that. We talked at the yard or something. And they circled my bunk. Wolf wakes me up from a nap. I'm sleeping, this is after the fight. And he's like, it's time to come home. And I'm just looking at him, and I'm just waking up. My eye, He's like, it's time to come home. You ready? And I'm like, Wolf, it's nothing but love and respect, bro. It's nothing but love and respect, but like, I'm trying to go home. And, I'm not trying to commit to something that I really don't want in my life, because I look at being in a gang as like, now you're in a gang. If you really want to live that life, you got to live that life, and that's not the life I wanted to live. I'm already clean. I'm already working out. I'm already handling business and getting myself ready to come out of prison and go to work release. And I'm on community custody at this point. So like being in that fight really messed up my head because my eyes all swollen shut. Everything's all messed up in my face. I'm not trying to go to the box and they raise my custody level. What's up, Buddha? How you doing? And it was real messed up. It was real messed up. So yeah, I had to tell him, like, I'm not trying to join the gang. I said I appreciate it. It's nothing but love. It's nothing but respect, and I appreciate you for coming up to me and trying to. But I already seen how the gang goes. Like if these guys don't got food and you got food, like you're expected to feed your brothers. If you gotta invest time into these people. You gotta invest money into these people if they don't got it. Vice versa. If you don't got it, yeah, they got you. But now if you got it and they don't, you're expected to look out. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to do all that. I'm already in my own lane. I got my own hustles going on. I'm good. And so we're at the park, by the way. We're gonna get this little stretch in before I hit the workout. So that's just pretty much how that went down, man. And let me see if I missed anything. I didn't even look at my notepad. I mean, we missed a couple things, but it's all good. It's okay. So, yeah, what made it hard, like I said, Wolf and all the guys and the GDs, like, we all worked outside together, the majority of us. We worked out together. We ate together, like, even in the chow hall and stuff, like, we sat together at chow, we worked out together if we were gonna, go hit the pull-up bars and the dip bars and all that. Like, we were all in line together at the pull-up bar type of deal, you know what I mean? Like, we're waiting to hit pull-ups behind one another. And so, yeah, I was the only one out of the group that wasn't actually in the gang. And I remember Wolf telling me one time, like, you're still my brother, though. Like, even if you don't want it, like, you're still my brother. That's regardless. He really got into it with the guys that jumped me. And, basically told them, like, they ever try that again, it's war. That's your one time. And he went up to the leader, like, the guy who was leading the Bloods, too, who was also in our dorm. And, like, had a argument with him and was like, the leader of the Bloods, what kind of messed that up was the leader of the Bloods didn't claim the two guys after that happened. He said they're not a part of the gang. So that kind of X'd that out. He's like, they might be claiming Bloods, but they ain't in my, you know what I'm saying? They're not with me. And so that X'd that out. And yeah. Work camps just work a lot different than a regular camp, There wasn't no tattoo removals, there wasn't none of that, But be careful who you mess with, even if it is a work camp, because like I said, Dave had a lot of power. He could get people gone just like that. He was real tight with all the higher up officers. They would be kiki and ha-haing together. They'd be all chit-chatting. And so you never, just be careful who you mess with. You could think you're doing sweet time at a work camp, but I'm telling you, bro, like, if anyone were to ever mess with Dave, they would be paying the price, because Dave had leverage with the people that had power. That's a good way to put it. And that, I mean the officers. Dave carried himself in prison like a regular citizen, an upstanding citizen, someone that you would look up to as like an authority figure. Maybe like an officer in a way. Maybe like someone in, just a security officer, a police officer, a correctional officer, someone that you looked up to as like a higher up in authority anyways. That's how he carried himself. He carried himself like a proper white man. And I don't mean that in a racial way. I'm just trying to give you an example, And he didn't seem like big tough guy, but what gave him power is exactly what I said. You know, he had that leverage with the people that were already higher up. I would say, you know, there was some pretty tough guys at the work camp, but Dave is up there on the list, not because what makes Dave stand out is not his physique or his strength, which he really didn't have none. No offense if you ever see this, buddy. But it's the power that he had within. And trying to stretch by not getting my clothes wet. It's a little weird, though. And that's just pretty much that. So that's just my experience, my little time that I had in there. I missed some stuff, but we're getting pretty long with this video. So appreciate everyone for tapping in. If I don't hop on tonight, I'll hop on later on. So I appreciate y'all for stopping in, chat. Y'all be safe. I got to get this workout in before it starts raining again. So I'll see y'all soon.